What I really want to show you today is getting some 4K camera footage of what the accessories are that I purchased and kept with the car. I have a detailed accessories article that goes with this video. That's what the intent is. So I'm going to start from the front to the cabin to the trunk, in that order, showing you around the car and all the tweaks I made. They're things you might think about when you move from decades of, in my case, about 30 years of Honda Civic ownership over to an electric vehicle. Well, there's some minor changes about what you might carry in your frunk and trunk, right? This car is being mass produced. I do not have regrets buying it. It's been a very good thing for a safety perspective and a miles per mile perspective as well. The efficiency has been incredible. Some weeks I drove as many as 900 business miles a week. This is a complete win. Today's video again about the accessories. I'm going to now show you around, starting with under the hood. Going to pop the front trunk. Now the noise it made was pretty minimal. Why would that be? Well, I replaced the spring here with one readily available from Home Depot. How did I do that? Well, it's very easy. You just pull this off, and depending upon your hand strength, you could take some needle nose pliers and take the old one off, but the new one just goes on very easily with your hands. So that was a very simple tweak. It's pretty simple. No tools needed, again, unless you need the needle nose just to get the original spring off. Now, what's in my frunk here? Let's go over that. This has been an extremely handy tool. I do throw this in the washer from time to time. Looks like it needs it to wipe the windshield if something happens from the inside. So it makes it very easy to reach because it, pivots. There is a frunk trunk liner from Tesla that WeatherTech actually makes. It's a little pricey, but it's got nice scooped edges there that come up about 1.5 inches. That keeps whatever's underneath quite clean, even in the winter where things tend to get grimy in New England. This is the charger the car came with. I ended up having a charger installed in my garage, so this one stays in the car with me if I'm ever at a hotel or something and I want to charge. Well, if you're watching this video and you're interested in Tesla, you already know probably about this, but yes, you have the kind of like a washer dryer looking plug, and then you have the option of the regular household plug, right? So that just stays in the bag, always ready for a long trip. But why is there a giant extension cord in yellow next to me here in a bag? Well, this is going to be a little tricky to do with one hand. I might need to get the tripod. Yeah, let me get the tripod just a moment. Okay, let me show you what's inside my kit here. This is meant to be some sort of, I don't know, giant makeup bag. It's transparent, but you can see what's going on inside of it that way. Kind of handy. And there's a few things in there. Well, a very beefy extension cord. That's pretty obvious, 50 feet. You can actually use that, say, in a hotel in a pinch, like, I don't know, if you're behind a Hampton Garden Inn or Holiday Inn or whatever. You might actually find an outlet inside the building. If you're really low and you don't have time to charge in the morning, well, you could use that. Here's a first aid kit, again featured in my article and linked to. Tire plugger kit. That's a different approach than the other tire repair kit you're going to see in a minute. First alert. This is kind of a replacement for the old-fashioned flares you used to use. Instead, here you got LED reflectors that you put on the highway at night if you break down or have an issue. And those are pretty darn well rated on Amazon. What else do we have in here? We have some emergency blankets. So if you're stranded in the winter for whatever reason, you'd have a way to save your bacon and your family from thermal, from freezing. All right, so that's the stuff that I keep in that side, that bag right there. This is the Tesla tire repair kit. It includes a way to spray in some stuff to limp along and get to your next stop. So yes, you plug this thing into 12-volt power and you get yourself out of a stranded situation, potentially. And this is what does the release of the bottle in there of stuff that's going to try to seal your tire to get you on your way. But Tesla roadside assistance should actually help you. All right, laptops, you keep them in the front because when you hand over a valet key, you don't want someone to be able to get to your laptop. Well, you'd leave that in the front in this case. And also in the front, if I occasionally find myself using my mobile office, my front chair that I have a setting for, where I'd put my laptop and work when I'm parked and maybe charging or just need to do a phone call that I'm actually leading, I'll get this inverter out where this can do a lot. It can be charging devices, but more important, it could be the computer from running for an extended period of time. Not something I'd be using very often, but at least I know whatever my needs are to run off the car are right there with me. Just a cloth for cleaning stuff if needed. And then finally some side window things that just stick on. So this plastic just sticks them to the side window, and now you have a way to prevent a lot of sun glare if someone's in your back seat, say for a long, long drive. This would be a way for them to be a little happier back there. Kind of like the sun shields you had for, you know, babies or whatever, whoever's in the back. And then finally, when you're stuck on the side of the road, you might want one of these if you ever did get stuck for whatever reason, say a blown tire. Now you can see your way around the car for whatever you're trying to do at night. So yes, driving in some crazy rainy and very actually heavy snowy conditions. I'll put this stuff back together later. That has all been very handy. Now, let me aim the camera down a little bit. Putting that lighter spring in there has made closing this a breeze. Minimal pressure, no chance of bending the aluminum hood. I don't even need to touch the logo. I can touch here safely. The directions actually tell you don't do it down here. I think they say somewhere here, but either way, all that went out the window, it doesn't matter. With this lighter touch spring I put in there, it's just way easier to close the hood than the way the car comes to factory defaults. Okay, let's move on to the interior. Now, this color, do I have regrets? No, it's worked out pretty darn well. It hides salt fairly well. White or black would not, so I'll just point that out. I do like the silver color on Teslas, but I did see one with salt caking all over it. And actually, I think this midnight silver probably is a good choice for trying to hold grime when you really just can't get around to washing your car all the time. Even though my car was washed today, by the way, I'll just mention, yeah, the chrome can get a little bit, well, it doesn't look great. That could just be the car wash soap that was used just now. I don't know. Okay, we've already touched upon a second accessory, and that's a convex mirror here, wide angle. That really does help for the blind spot. Now, I know there's technology to help with a blind spot. Let me move this. But, well, I find, you know, you get used to swiveling your head and all the stuff you've been trained to do when you're driving for 30-something years, and it's kind of nice at a glance to just see exactly what might be in your blind spot when you're about to change lanes. So that's been a total win for me. Basically eliminating the blind spot. Now, of course, you can see traffic and cars around you when you're underway on the display. All right, let's cover something that I skipped right over as I entered the car, and that is this. Everyone who gets in your car, friends, family, whatever, they're going to invariably look for the handle, and they might not be so sure about the button that's up there, so I put a sticker on there that is actually kind of raised. So let me emphasize that. It's kind of raised rubber. It has a very OEM feel, and a little white line at the front. Well, the light, the LED light that the comes through right through that slot. So again, OEM feel. Floor mats, they've just been cleaned. They made it through winter, and there was a whole lot of slop on here. So I just take them out of the car wash and spray them down, and those have worked out quite well. You can get a little bit of a, you know, kind of clay brownish color up there, but yeah, it's kept the carpet from the car itself, which is black and hard to clean, quite clean. So that's been a total win. Moving right along, we've got the Nomad Charging Mat, and I can't remember the brand, but one of the many different carbon fiber style vinyl stickers applied to the surface that is way too glossy, piano gloss by default. The Nomad mat charges fine. Little light goes on white when it's fully charged, and amber when it's charging your phone or another phone, a guest phone. So yeah, that's worked out well. Happy with that purchase. And let's go in here and look at the accessories. So, since my article, has anything changed? Well, I need to update the article a little bit, but I do carry this thing that works for like Panera Bread, or the adapter right in the car. If it's raining heavily outside, kind of nice to turn those common chargers you might find at shopping malls into this end, which goes right into your Tesla. And that way you don't have to fumble around your trunk or a frunk to find it. I just have this little gap area where I put it. Got two USB cables. One is going to the wall, and another is going to this USB hub, which has a USB drive with some music on it, and another USB drive that looks like this, that's recording dash cam and Sentry mode footage right now, actually, because the car is parked and not at home, so you can see a little blue light on there. And let's have a look up here, and you're seeing it there as well. That whoops, I turned it off because it just replaced the device before this video. So if we touch that, now you can see it's recording. So whenever you mess with that device, which I tend to just leave for weeks at a time unless something happens, I don't really need to review the footage. But you want to be aware that you want to see red on that. Now, because the car's not driving, yeah, there you go. Okay. So it's active. If I put the car in drive, it'll just, stay recording. Okay. What else is there to show in the interior here? Well, let me finish the tour of the center console. This is an empty tissue box. I use that for garbage. This is wipes without alcohol, so safe to use them on the vegan leather seats, which are really just high priced vinyl, or high quality vinyl, I should say. And then finally tissues. So I find that very handy to have it all snugly fitting in there. And very practical. You can shove garbage right in there when you're underway by feel without even looking down at your console. So that's worked out very well. Cup liner. Yeah, you can clean that if you get soda stickiness or coffee, whatever. That's worked out pretty well. You see it gets a little scratched up here, but cup holders have worked out fine. Glad I bought those. This is going to get a little bit harder to show. This is the alternative USB drive that you can actually read files off right from your phone, but the write endurance isn't there and the capacities aren't really amazing. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, because iOS 13 coming this summer will actually allow you to read files right off of your iPhone, and a bunch of apps will come out. I think things will change in this space, or maybe you'll be able to just review the dash cam footage right on your big screen at some point. So I wouldn't spend a whole lot of money there. All right, what do we have here? We have my clip-on sunglasses in a case. We have this nice little case my wife found at a craft fair that keeps your change from rattling all over, making a lot of noise when you're underway in the car. But, so you need it for a car wash or something. My wallet. All right. What else is in here? Well, a little bit of a dirty, felt-lined cup here. Check this out. There you go. At one point I was thinking of putting a light under here, but I don't really go in there when the car's underway, so it hasn't been a big deal because the dome lights above me, shine into the space. And there is a light inside here anyway. But anyhow, Easy Pass has worked out quite well there. No issues. Completely out of my way, and it's basically in the same orientation as it would be if it was on my front windshield. No issues with reading it as well. All right, what do we have in here? This is to shatter your window if your car is in a wreck and goes off the road and into the water. Not something you'd hopefully ever have to use, but you push the button and it breaks your window. Okay. What else is under there? Well, a light. You can see some ambient illumination there. This extra cabling that goes to a 12-volt splitter. That gives me some charging ports for other devices in the car, because right now I've got two high-speed Lightning. These are USB 3.0 connectors that go to the other end being Lightning for iOS devices at their fastest charge rate. So that kind of gives me the best of all those worlds. I don't really use this LED display showing 14 volts for anything, because you can't really see it. So it's a little bit messy in there, and the cables get a little pinched, but these are pretty tough cables. I do wish Tesla made some clearance or like a little bump somewhere to let cables through. Instead, I kind of have to place this tray a little bit carefully, tuck those in the back, and then make sure the tray goes in all the way. As you just saw, the tray just settled down. And now I can go ahead and close this and show you that, say my wife is a passenger, wants a faster charge than the Qi charging mat can do. Just use this and you get an excellent charge rate. And the second one, that one goes around back for this passenger to just grab from the seat back behind me as the driver and get a fast charge. Or they can just plug their device of any sort to charge right here, but that's going to be a little slower charge rate. The floor mat in the back hasn't been cleaned quite as recently. It's holding up well. It did a really good job of keeping the Tesla itself clean in the winter with, muddy shoes all over. Okay, no accessories, no alterations in the back. These lights, I would say, are not all that bright, but I did go ahead and do some work in the glove box while the car's getting hot with AC off, but I want to keep the ambient noise down for you there. Okay, so I've got an extra pair of sunglasses, license registration manuals, little double-decker plexiglass accessory here that goes in your glove box and gives you a much more practical ability to store things like this. A Tesla key fob, not key fob, a key card holder. So you hand that to the valet. See, the idea is you keep the key card in your wallet. So if your car gets broken into and someone figures out how to open your glove box with the display or whatever, that's not too likely, frankly. But honestly, you want to hand the valet a key to the key attendant and they need some way to hang it or keep track of it. You might even put your name and phone number on a business card or something, especially since some of them have the ability to charge and they might have questions for you and whatnot. Got some keys there. I've got some pencils and stuff over there. So yeah, that's worked out pretty well. Now, when you close this, you'll see there's a flap there, and that's how you close it. And there's actually an LED light up here. And actually, I'm having a hard time remembering if I bothered to replace that. Yeah, I did. That is a brighter light than what it came with. Just took a flat blade screwdriver and take it out. All right. Now, finishing the tour here. The lights that are underneath the door are called Puddle Lights. And those I also replaced. Pop it out, flathead screwdriver, and put in the aftermarket ones. That worked out quite well. Same deal here. Aftermarket Puddle Lights, way brighter than the original ones. And while I'm showing doors off here, I reduced the ambient noise, the decibel level, when cruising down the road by adding some weather stripping. You might be wondering where on a gray car. Not particularly obvious. And that's the good part about it. You see this? Sorry, let me try that again. You see this? That's something I added. And I added it on the front doors as well. Right there, you see it peeking out a little bit. So when you close the door, you now have rubber sealing that gap. Okay? And it does noticeably reduce wind noise. And I've actually recorded some footage with a decibel meter to confirm that. Okay. There it is. All right. So I've added a second insulator. So here's the one that comes with the car, OEM. Here's the one I added just by sticking it on. Can't really see any reason not to do that. It was very cheap. Didn't take me long to do the whole car. And there's instructional videos on how to do that. So yeah, that's been a hit as far as a bit of noise reduction and a more solid feel when you close the door. Solid noise too. Okay, enough of that. Let's go into the trunk. And yeah, you'll see dual motor. All right, in the trunk, what do we have? Well, here we got a WeatherTech made mat ordered from Tesla. And in the sub trunk, we've got this. I'm trying to remember the company that makes that. Not terribly essential, but that's where all my groceries go. So this gets a lot of use, and it's nice to keep it clean down there. We love the sub trunk, my wife and I. Again, groceries, all that stuff, you don't have to worry about tying it down. You put it down there, it's not going to make noise shifting around. So notice, even with this rubber on top, that's very good for winter and keeping grime out of the trunk, all the way in the very deep trunk there. It's worked out pretty well. And I put a little light there, so it's motion detecting light. Only need to charge it every, I don't know, once or twice a year maybe over USB. Just automatically goes on when we lift the trunk. So if it's dark and rainy and in a supermarket parking lot, that light has worked out really nicely. Okay, pretty much at the end here. Oh yeah, an umbrella or two. We don't really use the door cup holders for anything because, well, these things move around when you accelerate and turn and whatever. So I try to keep them in the trunk, in a large recyclable bag for trips to Sam's Club or whatever. So that's it for this accessories overview of my Tesla Model 3. Hopefully you found it helpful, and thanks for watching.